Before we start today's show, we just wanted to take a moment and give a huge thank you to the podcast sponsor, StreamYard. With StreamYard, you can stream directly from your browser, create a broadcast, show comments on screen, and see all of your comments in one place. With StreamYard, you can record HD video and audio. You can even go live with pre-recorded videos. Save, rewatch, and download past broadcasts. You can invite guests to your broadcast from any device. StreamYard makes it easy to run interviews, talk shows, podcasts, and so much more. You can simply get started with your own by heading on over to StreamYard.com. Now, without further ado, brought to you by Mindful Media Productions, you are now tuned into my favorite podcast, The Archives with Adam. Here is your host and my grandson, Adam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Archives with Adam. As always, I am your host, Adam. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. He's a seasoned actor with an impressive career that spans across several decades, featuring roles in some of the most iconic films and TV shows. You might recognize him as unforgettable performances in The Chronicles of Riddick, as well as Elf and Hot Rod. My guest today is the incredibly talented Mark Acheson. Mark, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. After introduction like that, I feel like I should just walk away. But anyway, thanks a lot. That's a really nice intro. Very nice.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. Now, really quick, every year, my best friend, my girlfriend, and I, we all get together to watch Elf, and it's become a tradition for us. And while you may not have had the lead role in it, your part in the film is definitely a staple and one that brings a lot of joy and humor to the movie. But before we dive into that, this is the Archives with Adam podcast. And what that means is that the show is all about highlighting your career as well as digging into your brain archives. And I do want to thank you again for being on my show today.
My pleasure.
Now, if you don't mind, for my viewers and listeners who may not be familiar with your career, could you share how you got started in the industry?
Well, I went from high school to college right into acting. And I went into stage for the first 10 years, only stage. Shakespeare mostly, but Ibsen and Chekhov and all, Tennessee Williams, all the playwrights. But I loved that period of time. We had our own theater company and stuff. We had our own theater space and produced a lot of great shows. But theater is really tough. And it disappears the minute you finish a show. You can run a show for 30 days or 60 days or whatever, but after it's done, it's like a mist. It's gone. And then I started to do a bit of TV and film, and I realized it was permanent. It was like leaving something behind. And I have to be honest, the money compared to stage was so. I slowly went to the dark side and went into film and TV. So that's how it all began. And then after that, I went into voice acting, and that was very lucrative for me. And now I just talk about the things I've done instead of doing. I'm an old guy. What can I tell you?
It's been a legendary career. I mean, you have been in so much. And looking at the wide range of roles that you have tackled over the years, it's clear that you've evolved a lot as a performer. It would be great to hear about how you feel about your career and how it's developed and the lessons you picked up along the way.
Well, I'm truly blessed. I got lucky. Lucky was always a part of my life. They say in hockey, you'd rather be lucky than good. And I totally believe that. Being lucky is everything. I mean, Elf was all about timing and being at the right place at the right time. And a lot of the other breaks that I got in my career were about timing and luck. And somehow I got credits every single year for like almost 40 years. One way or another, I worked professionally as an actor all those years. and I can't. I pinch myself sometimes because it was such a fun ride, and it still is. I'm still auditioning a bit. I've got a couple of cameos coming up in something later this year. I don't pursue it like I used to. I mostly take things on where people ask me without auditioning, or if they audition me as something for like a lead role or something like. But that's very few and far between. So I'm a very slow-paced guy. I do a few conventions now. Of course, My Little Pony is a lot of conventions because of that cartoon show. I was the main bad guy in that for like 10 seasons. Lord Tyrek, and I had other conventions coming up, from Elf to Supernatural to Stargate to X-Files. It's been all over the board, but I really am just a lunch pail guy. I've had a few lead and starring roles in a few things, but mostly I just come in and develop exposition so they have the story told, and I'm sort of an interesting character that people look at and something like that, and been able to make a living at that, for a long, long time, and that's where the pinch me part comes in, because I just go, how did this happen to me? It's sort of like that Talking Heads song, this isn't my beautiful house. This isn't, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're staying busy, but, at the same time, you're getting to relax a little bit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have a 64 Impala SS, and I like to just cruise around in that. I grow vegetables. Well, I don't, my partner does, but I like to eat them. I like to go on holidays, and like I said, the conventions have been a lot of fun. I did Germany and Las Vegas and North Dakota, and Seattle last year, and that's always fun because people are like into the fact that you're there, right? And they're really nice to you, and it's it's like a love fest, and it's great.
What did you do in Seattle? You said, were you here for a convention?
It was a while ago. It was Evergreen. It was My Little Pony. Again, Laura Tyrek. That character haunts me, but it was great. Bronies are the most rabid fans you can find. They're absolutely wonderful. Even in Germany, they were like amazing, in German, but they were amazing. It's great.
How was your time here in Washington when you were at that convention?
Oh, I liked it very much. That was one of my first few. So I was learning about, conventions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was still working and stuff. I did a regular role on Brand New Cherry Flavor, a series on Netflix, and I did the feature Peter Pan and Wendy a little bit after that, which was like 4 months, long. But I got to go to this convention, and it was nice. I mean, I have that luxury where a lot of the great talents in animation are unknown. You don't really, you can't recognize them, they don't. But for me, I have that kind of thing where I have still some facial recognition with films like Elf and Watchmen and stuff like that. And so, people come up to me and ask for a selfie or a autograph or something. And it drives the other guys crazy because they're, anyway, it was fun. I mean, some people are much more totally all about animation, and they're great talents. I mean, really amazing talents. I just found a way to do some things here and some things there. It was about a 50-50 thing for me, with film, TV, and with animation for a long time. So,
okay. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. So I was saying that we're pretty new to the convention thing, but there's so much fun. You get to meet so many people, see so many people dressed up. You get to meet all your favorites. It's just a lot of fun.
Oh, it's huge, and it means so much to them. which means so much to me, right? Because I'm still like, I'm blown away that people even notice my work or even want to see me, and are, fans of my work is like amazing, and I never take it for granted, never. So when I get a chance to go out there and feel all that love, which it really is, it's a lot of love. I mean, they're really true diehard fans about the work and the character that you built, along with the writers and the director and everybody else, about the thing that they thought about a lot, right? And especially Lord Tyrek came at a time in My Little Pony where they needed a little bit more testosterone in the show. And I gave them a very ruthless, very real villain. And I think most people will tell you that it was the singular best villain in My Little Pony. And I really loved that. And I really did. I did a lot.
Okay. And now you've accomplished so much through your career, but I'm curious, what stands out as your proudest achievement, whether it's in your professional life or even personally?
I used to have a reel, which is, a list of all, pieces of all my things, and it was very noisy and quick and didn't really glue together. So I put together what I thought were two of my best pieces, which was Elf, which I really love doing, and the other one, which is Fargo, season 1, where we won 3 Emmys, and they told me how much that character, the gangland leader, meant to that first season. So I put just those 2 things on my reel, nothing else, just those 2 things, because that was the extent of what I thought was my range, But proudest achievement was being able to work this long and to do so many things. I mean, you got to imagine, like, I've done 2, 3, 4 days on movies many times, 2, 3, 4 days, just a couple of here and a couple there and a couple there, a couple there, always speaking roles, but sometimes cut and edited. I know I did Chronicles of Riddick for 3 months. I had helped pay for my house, but you would have to take a microscope to really find me in there with any real meaning, because he went so long with the editor's cut, the director's cut, that they had to massively cut it to make it for the theaters. But still, I think Chronicles of Riddick turns out to be one of the better. It's not as good as the prequel, but it's better than the after ones, And I love doing that. But like I said, I did Elf in 1 day, 22 hours.
Wow.
I was only supposed to walk in and do 1 line. That's all they asked me to do. They said, they're not auditioning you, Mark. Would you come in and read 1 line with Will Ferrell? I said, well, Will Ferrell, yeah, I'm there, okay. And so I went in and I thought, okay, this will be quick. I just say work release, and that's all we do. And I go home and I collect my check, right? And I get to shake hands with Will Ferrell. So 22 hours later, which is the longest I've ever worked on set, which is only done because that was the very last day of shooting for the whole entire film. So they had no union turnaround for anybody. That was the last day. The very last day they ever shot anything about Elf was that day. And I got to be in it. And all they did was play and have fun. And they said, Mark, can we just keep on playing and having fun? And I said, yeah. And at the very end, I mean, we did all sorts of stuff, and there was dancing stuff and him on the dance thing, doing the Russian thing. And they said, Mark, we want to pull a water main down on you. And we want the full force of the water coming down on you, just like Flashdance. And we want you to sing this Christmas carol as loud as you can with all these gallons of water coming down on you. We dammed off the whole set. Everything is dammed off so it won't go in the street. But we're going to film this last shot of the day. And they drowned me like a wet rat. And I always wonder, like, I know it, I understand why it's not in the movie. I totally understand. But like, not the outtakes. I mean, because they just about killed me. And that's how I walked back into my trailer 28 hours later, was drowned, wet, dripping. And I've had the most incredible film experience I ever had. It changed my career after that, Adam. After that thing came out in December, everything changed. I would walk into a room auditioning, and they go, yeah, you're the guy from Elf, right? And that was it. And
wow.
And they saw me as something funny rather than just a killer. I mean, that's where I was brought into Elf, right? I looked mean and like a criminal and stuff like that, but like they let me soften up with the alcohol and all that. But I mean, I got to be a nice guy, right? And anyway, the part changed my life. I can't go around in my car without a couple of Elf pictures in my glove box in case people want something. I get a lot of people asking me for it. And, it's 20 years ago, which is amazing too, but it was one of the only classics I've ever been in, lucky enough to be in, Can you imagine having like a small part in Lawrence of Arabia or something like that, which people will see forever, for a long time. But this is what that was. And it took me a long time to realize how lucky I was. So again, back to luck, amazing luck.
No, it's a phenomenal movie. I mean, a lot of the movies you've been in have been some pretty quality movies. And again, like I mentioned in the beginning, the beginning of the segment, is that, I mean, your career has been, it's been huge. I mean, we could talk about many movies, but one movie that I really love that you were a part of was Hot Rod. That came out in 2007. So Mark, I mean, fans of Hot Rod still remember your character as Homeless Dave, and that film has become a beloved cult classic over the years, and that's thanks to its large part of its quirky humor and memorable characters. How did you get involved with Hot Rod, and what drew you to the role as Homeless Guy Dave?
They handed it to me, Adam. I mean, it was like, oh, you're the guy that worked with Will Ferrell? Yeah, you're cool. They didn't audition me. They asked me to come in. I'm sitting there with Bill Hader, and I mean, and talking. I've never met him before, and he's really nice to me. And we it was just a gift. That was part of that thing where after Elf, sometimes I just walk in, or people just not audition me, just hand me stuff. And I love that. I mean, I love that because they think I'm the only person they want for that, which really makes me feel good, confident in what I'm doing, right? And it's just a small little cameo. It's a little bit, right? But I had a little fun with it and stuff, and I got to use my upper range and stuff. But they were so nice and treated me like I was meant to be there.
I was so jealous just because the fact I love Andy Samberg.
Oh my God, the guy's a genius. They both are. Bill Hader may be the best voice actor I can imagine. I mean, he's amazing. Amazing voice talent. Plus, a great comedic talent. Crazy.
Oh, definitely.
Crazy.
And then the other two guys that were a part of that scene was so it was Andy Samberg, and then there was another gentleman that's a part of it. But the whole group,
I love that guy. He was in that series with Will Ferrell and the guy from The Office. And they're talking about his plums in there. Yeah. Do you remember that scene? Anyway, that guy. I mean, he was in that scene too. Yeah.
I forgot
his name. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Andy Samberg, he has a group called the Lonely Island Boys. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that, but they make like parody songs. It's hilarious.
They're killer.
back when I was in high school, I got to play Xbox with Andy Samberg and the two other guys playing Call of Duty. And I'm telling you, the conversations that were had in that group it was amazing. But that movie is one of my all-time favorites. And yeah, you know,
If you only had a
gotta
tape
ask.
recording of those conversations, oh, the kind of stuff you'd have now.
Oh, I bet. I mean, it would be amazing content. But I want to ask, like, being around such funny guys, how did you approach that role and really, you know, sell it the way you needed to?
You mean Elf or like anything? I
Oh no,
mean,
in Hot Rod. Sorry.
going Hot Rod, right? I played, and I don't want to brag, but I played 6 or 7 homeless people. Can you imagine that? Anyway, I played 6 or 7 homeless people. It's amazing to me, and they all tell me, you know, dude, you are unbelievable as a homeless person. It's amazing how well you look homeless. I just finished this short a year and a half ago called Never Broken, which has gotten all sorts of awards. And it's done really well in all the festivals and stuff like that. Amazing short film, Never Broken. And I got to play a homeless guy in that. And there's something about me and trash that really get along great. You know, I was really good with filthy stuff all around me. It looks really good all the time. So yeah, I'm a homeless guy. I felt comfortable. As soon as would you like to be the homeless guy? Hey, I'm there
Why
already.
not?
I live in a van down by the river. What can I tell you?
Do you have any favorite memories or behind the scenes moments working with Andy Samberg and the rest of the cast?
I just remember how accepting they were of me, how they made me feel, you know, part of the group right away. How and this was his project very much, and he really liked the fact that I was going to, you know, paint part of that little picture he's got of the whole thing, and it was really cool the way it turned out and stuff like that. And I'm amazed that out of a couple of short things I've done, people thought, okay, he's kind of funny, because that's hard, you know. Like Noel Coward often said, you know, when he died, he said, dying is easy, comedy is hard. But when I worked with Will, all I did was react. I didn't act. I just, you know, when he tickled me, I laughed, and when he made jokes, it just happened, you know. And there's a version of that scene which I've got on my YouTube page, which I substitute some music in that scene to Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, Brand New Friend. And you really get a chance to listen to it. I mean, I think that song really goes well with that tickle fight in the. And that was the only thing that was. I mean, like he didn't tell me he didn't tell me he was going to do that. I mean, he didn't tell me he was going to like tickle fight me. He just yelled tickle fight, and that was it. And I had 2 brothers when I was growing up, so like tickle fight was already, you know, tickling already. You know, just hearing it tickle fight was like, oh my god, here we go.
Okay. Now I definitely want to dive into Elf. Obviously, that movie came out in 2003. It's a cult classic as well. It's one that's huge. But one of your most unforgettable parts of Elf is definitely the mailroom scene, right? Your character brings such a unique energy to that chaotic setting, especially when Buddy turns that place into an impromptu party. There's that classic line from Will Ferrell's character is that this place reminds me of Santa's workshop, except it smells like mushrooms and everyone looks like they want to hurt me. It's a line that, you know, perfectly captures a quirky mix of humor as well as tension in that scene. But honestly, it's your lines that crack me up when you say, you know, buddy, nobody around here listens to me. I have really great ideas. You know, it's just gold. And then when you follow it up, it's you know, you just say, I just want to try to go with the flow. And then Buddy comes in and you know, he just says, go with the flow. And you're like, no, I got to get out of the flow.
Yeah. Going with the flow is what got me here.
Yeah.
We ad-libbed all that stuff, right? We did a couple of extra lines standing up next to the shoots and the drinks and all that stuff. But when we laid down the cart, it was like, okay, they put some ideas up on the ceiling above us, right? You can go here, you can go there, do whatever you want to do, right? And I'm laying there with Will Ferrell, and it was the strangest thing because I never felt more comfortable in my life. He was really, really easy to work with. He's one of those guys, at least for me, I mean, it could be different for other people, where he made you feel absolutely at home. You were cool. Everything was fine, you know? And so, which is, this is all ad-libbed, and I didn't think any of it would make it to the final. They actually cut it out in the very beginning. The producers wanted to cut my scene completely. And Jon Favreau said, no. And they said, nobody believes he's 26 years old. Come on, nobody believes that. And Favreau went, that's the joke. That's the joke. You know, I mean, obviously he's not 26. I mean, I think I was 46 at the time, 43, 46, something like that. But I definitely wasn't 26. And you know, he fought for me, and he kept me in that movie. And thank you, Jon Favreau. Anyway, that's the most memorable thing, is to have somebody fight for me and my work in a scene that, and you know, I think it's a good scene. I mean, I really do. I've looked at it many times because I've been forced to. I don't look at my work. I really don't. I've only seen maybe 50, 60% of my work. I have not seen a lot of it. I really haven't. But this one, you know, my grandson watches, my son watches, you know, it comes up. And I look at it and I go, it's all really, really balanced well. It's a good little scene, right? And it works well with the whole thing about Buddy, you know, making him truly cool, you know, where he just gets along with, you know, and then he does that scene with a little girl in a doctor's office. I mean, it's just like it's too cool, you know. And I got to be a part of it. It's catching lightning in a bottle, and that's what happened to me. Lucky me.
It's an amazing movie. You know, it, like you said, it just all goes well. You know, well together. You know, it's this guy. He's from the North Pole, and he goes to New York to try to find his dad. And you know, he finds out he's human, and he has to do human things. He can't be an elf. You know, it's just it works out. You know, and I'm glad you brought up that line of, you know, I'm 26 years old and I have nothing to show for it, you know? And again, obviously your character wasn't 26. It's just, it's so many great lines, you know, and
so many great people, you know. James Caan did that movie and he didn't really believe in it. He thought it was kind of weird. And he didn't like Will Ferrell, didn't think it was funny, but he did it and he gave it the show a real edge. But Bob Newhart, the great late Bob Newhart, such an incredible talent, who just passed away recently. He gave it a real special touch. And then Joey Deschanel, they had a chemistry on that movie. When they sang in that bathroom together, you just had to melt. And those things you can't just make happen. They are accidents of luck, love, and a talent. That's what they are. And everybody was on their game that day. Me, I just walked in and just took some light from everybody else. But everybody, you know, Bob Newhart, great performance. Joey Deschanel, and Will Ferrell. I mean, what can I say? I love this guy's work. I watched all of his movies. I'm a big fan of everything he does. He's funny to me all the time. And I know that for me, at least, he was exactly what I thought he would be, a real sweet guy.
He's one person I would love to meet. I would love to have on my show. Maybe one day, you know, I'll get that okay. But you know, he's just like you said. Everything he's been in has been wonderful. You know, all the way from Night at the Roxbury all the way to, you know,
Old School, which really broke him open, and you know, and then oh my God, you know, all of them, you know, Talladega Nights, and you know, everything.
Around what time of the year was that movie filmed? It wasn't filmed around Christmas time, right?
No, it wasn't. It was filmed. Well, we did our bit around September, you know, and it was the following Christmas it came out. And I remember not far from my home, there was a bus stop. They had it close, and it had a big poster of Elf up there. And I thought, well, that's cool. You know, it's getting some coverage. It's going to get a little bit of, you know, it'll get some theater time. You know, it won't go straight to release or something. And then it came out for like a week, and I hadn't seen it right away. But I bumped into people at auditions, and people go, "Oh, dude!" You know, like, I thought they were like pulling my leg. I mean, I honestly thought that, you know, yeah. After that thing came out, everything changed, and I just remembered how much fun I had acting. That was always the thing, you know. Even when I started on stage, it was just having fun. You know, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. That's basically the way it works. And cartoons, for sure, is all about having fun and making really wild things that people can get. You know, I mean, I played Sabretooth, and I've played all sorts of great characters in cartoons and stuff like that for Marvel and DC and all that kind of. But it's just having fun. You know, a lunch pail guy that goes to work, can't believe he's getting paid for what he's doing, and comes home, and then people actually want to talk to him. So that's me.
That comes in with the, you know, so many roles we could talk about, but tonight, like, I definitely wanted to touch on the ones that I'm familiar with, and you know, you were even in, you know, she's the Man with Channing Tatum and Amanda Bynes.
Let me tell you about that. Okay, that again was a cameo role, and they didn't audition me, right? But they wanted to have me in a scene in a urinal with her and me, and we were standing in a urinal, and they couldn't do that, right? And so the director goes, "Well, we can't do that. But we want to bring you in for this other role. Like, can you just come on and be the guy in the thing?" And I went, "Yeah," you know. And but again, it was all from Elf. That was my passport. That's what just opened doors for me immediately, because somehow I held my own in that movie, and people believed that I could do that again and again and again, you know. And I've been lucky. And lucky so that people have treated me so well over the years. I mean, I've been really blessed. I really have.
There you go. Now, one final thing on Elf. You know, you mentioned having fun. The part where Will Ferrell first sends up the paper through the tube and says, "Ah, sucky," and then he pulls his head and puts it up to that, and he says, "Ah, it's very sucky." That just seems like a fun scene, but that led up to the part where you guys are drinking coffee, and he's like, "Oh, it's maple syrup," and he pours it in his coffee. Was that actually alcohol, or was that what was?
No, that was just tea, I believe. But when Will Ferrell first walked on set, you know, when they're just adjusting lights and people are milling around and stuff like that, he just started looking at things and playing with things. And he put his hand on the thing, and I remember him going, and sure enough, that became the whole face thing later on. I mean, when you watch somebody like this, you know, prepare for what they're about to do, you realize that they really are completely observant of everything around them all the tools, the people and the little things that they can play with. And so he was ready to play. He went in there and he thought, it's probably the only day that he shot this movie where he was in the second day. He did one day in New York where he wore the suit, and this day when he wore a suit. But the rest of the time he was in an all suit all the time. But it was his last day. You could. I never really understood that as much as I did after. That this was his last day on this movie, and Jon Favreau's last day too. Which he became huge as a director after this. I mean, I can't even talk to you about how big an impact Jon Favreau's had on the film industry after Elf. I mean, it's just one gigantic thing after another. Iron Man. Let's start there. I mean, that's just part of it. And he had a vision about what he wanted to do with this movie, and so did Will. And on that final day, when that's all the time they had, and that was the last time they had the cameras, and last time they had the crews, and that was it. What they do, they didn't go for an 8-hour day on color quits and go home. He shot for 22 damn hours. 22 straight hours. I mean, I'm crazy, man. The longest day I've ever done 16, 17 hours, and I thought that was like slavery. I mean, 22 hours, especially when they ground you at the very end. It was like, come on, man, are you serious? But they were wringing every little bit of the last bit of that thing because they knew it was special. And luck, just luck. I should buy a lottery ticket.
You should. All the good juju to you. I'm going to sit this year and watch the movie and just think back on the conversation we had tonight. And, I'm just going to think of all those stories, and I'm going to remember this episode for sure for quite some time, just because of, the movie, how it's had an impact on me, as well as Hot Rod. And, it's just, I appreciate hearing these stories and connecting with those that I've watched on the big screens and stuff.
Thank you. I've done a few podcasts, but I really enjoyed talking to you. And I have to say that my grandson, who's my number one fan, is also named Adam. So there was a connection right away. And of course, from Seattle, I'm a big Seattle fan. So thank you for contacting me, and I hope that everybody enjoys the stories. And I really appreciate your interest. I really do. I'm still amazed that people want to hear any of this stuff, but I'm always happy to tell.
One thing about me, and I've said this to many of my guests, and my viewers probably get tired of hearing it, is that behind your name and your status, you are a human being. And I never like to waste anybody's time. So I reach out to those that I actually have an interest in talking to, and we just have good conversations, and I hope each episode is a little different, and than what they expect. And I go through and I do like my research, and I watch other episodes to avoid those same questions, because I want to make it just a unique experience.
Unique. That's exactly what it was. And your questions were great. And I appreciate all of that. Very a great podcast, really. Thank you.
I appreciate
part of it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, I hope to chat with you again in the future, maybe some other roles. Sure. And again, thank you so much. You have a wonderful night.
You're always my friend, Adam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment and thank the podcast sponsor, StreamYard. Without StreamYard, none of this would be possible. I also want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching this episode, whether you're streaming it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or watching on YouTube. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for many more episodes.